We got to make sure these labels are turned towards us, right? Is that the only?
I don't know.
Yes.
Is it?
The problem is they're on both sids. I think we're screwed either way.
Oh wow. Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, at this point, you know.
Well, when I cut it, I zoom it in.
If,
so
if
it'll
Modelo gets us, I'll look at it. I'll look at it as a win-win at that point if they're looking at us. Here we are, week 0. The Red Shirts are back. Tony and Eddie, as always, with special guest Mike Taverna. Good to see you.
Mike, thanks for being here.
I'm pumped. You guys even use the governmental name.
That's
the first time in a while since I've done something like this.
No stage name.
No stage name.
We know you on a personal level, so
there you go.
There we go.
We're trying a new format today. We're hitting a little. This is what I like to call it a cross between. It's like college game day meets Hot Ones. We're gonna go through our games. Now, this is like a little trial run. Week 0, we only got 7 games this week. They're pretty shitty.
You mentioned Hot Ones. You couldn't bring any wings for us or anything like that. I would have been pretty pumped that way.
Copying their whole setup. But the questions for Mike are gonna get harder as the games get bigger.
I couldn't even tell you one thing about college football, so let's let it rock.
All right, let's let it rock here. The first game up on our docket today, my Fighting Irish, Notre Dame, taking on Navy in Ireland. Notre Dame's a minus 20.5 point favorite. Tony, what are you thinking?
What time is it there when they're playing like here?
Like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
7 p.m.
It's like prime time there, yeah.
I mean, it's your typical, Navy's your typical triple option. They'll try and slow Notre Dame down, but I feel like Notre Dame this year is going to just beat the crap out of them. We know Notre Dame finally has a quarterback, so that's something new. They never, ever have a quarterback. We know in years past it's just been awful. It's been a good team without a QB, but Sam Hartman is good. I think they should blow Navy out. I wouldn't be surprised if Navy keeps it close for a little bit, but I expect a blowout down in Ireland.
My thoughts exactly. To quote the Bears, one team will leave gleeful, one team gloomy. Notre Dame, minus 20.5, Sam Hartman.
That was deep.
Yeah, I know. You don't know that quote from the skit, SNL?
No, I don't. Is that like a Mike Dickus skit, or is
the Bears skit?
Yeah, he says one team will leave gleeful, one team will leave gloomy.
I don't remember that at all.
Mike, what do you got?
I mean, look, I'm a big fan of the movie Rudy.
Oh,
so
there we go.
We're just going to go Notre Dame right there. And you said they were in Ireland, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's got to be a
Right.
We said we weren't going to talk too much wrestling, but if it was a wrestling booking and it was a total wrestling, like this guy's Notre Dame is going for the title right here in the hometown. They're winning the strap.
They can't. The fans would be irate if they had them lose.
I'm happy to hear that you're a big Rudy fan.
Yeah, I think that's my dad's like fake, real favorite movie.
Really?
You know, he always says it was. He was always like the little guy.
When you talk great sports and football movies, Rudy is always in the conversation.
Gotta be up there.
My favorite part of Rudy, I mean, I love the movie. Like that's like in the Zinsser family, like it's indoctrinated into everybody's. You
have to watch it to be a part of the family.
But the fact that Vince Vaughn is the running back, young Vince Vaughn, first
Vince
ever
Vaughn, John Favreau's in it.
They didn't even realize that.
Really good cast
really
that no one even notices.
Did not even realize that.
So, Mike, this December, pretty big deal. Forget about Christmas.
Oh, wow.
I want to hear December 21st release day, correct?
This past year?
December 21st, yeah.
Was it? Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Eddie's fucking.
Yeah.
He's on the ball.
I do my homework.
He's on the ball.
I want to hear the whole story, how to come to be, because it's a star-studded cast. It's a pretty big deal. We watched it on TV.
I love it. I'd love to hear it. It's definitely a wild movie. There's no doubt about that. How did it come about? Same way I always do. You know, like my agent will see something that's like, all right, you know, one of my clients will fit this movie or this TV show, whatever it is. So they'll submit us. That's pretty much how it works. You can always submit yourself, but once you get kind of reps, they do the bigger project submissions for you. So they found it. They said, all right, yeah, the breakdown was like some loud Italian guy at a family dinner during Christmas time. So I guess they thought that was perfect casting. Got the call literally like within an hour of the submission. They called me. I didn't know it was Justina Valentine at first because it was just like untitled Christmas movie. It was actually they named it Forget About Christmas, so we knew it was that. We just didn't know who was in it, like what the network was or anything like that. So I did the audition, and then Justina called me directly. So it was like,
oh yeah,
all right. So I was like, this is a cool deal, and they hired me pretty much on the spot, which I thought was pretty dope. So that's how I got into it, and then the rest is history.
Yeah,
we're hoping on the sequel. To be determined.
Forget About Christmas too.
Apparently in the works. We'll see.
Every great Christmas movie has a sequel.
They all do. They all do get sequels.
I'll cheers to that.
Now, that leads me to the second part of this question. Not including Christmas movies that you've been in, rank your top 3 Christmas movies.
3,
yeah.
Pretty easy.
All
Elf is 1, no doubt.
Oh, I like it.
Jingle All the Way, I would say, would be 2.
Wow.
And 3, you got me quick with that, and I answered the first 2 quick.
Yeah.
Third, I have to like think like slightly.
You don't want to leave anything out.
Don't want to leave anything out. Exactly. Hit it right on the head there. I mean, the first 2 are definitely like hands down. There's no way to compare it. I want to say like the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. That was pretty.
Yeah,
that was
that's a
pretty
good
good. That was like an easy watch every single year. But Elf and Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, Elf is probably
Trumps it.
my number.
When Elf comes on, that's when I know like Christmas is around the corner because
Yeah.
they'll start putting Elf on in like middle of November.
Yeah,
and then it's like, all right, here we go.
100%.
Yeah. No Home Alone.
I mean, it's bigger than that. It's like saying Die Hard's a Christmas movie. You know, it's a funny one. I was talking to a friend of ours, Pat Stackpole. We're big Stanley Kubrick fans. And Eyes Wide Shut, as crazy as that movie is, whether you guys saw it or not, it's like totally controversial. No one knows what the hell it's about. It's a Christmas movie. It's Christmas. So it's one of those movies that fall into it where it's like, is it a Christmas movie or is it bigger than Christmas? Home Alone's one of those things I think is bigger than Christmas.
Where do you stand on Die Hard?
I think it's a real movie. I can't call it a Christmas movie just because it took part in
That's how I
Christmas.
feel about it.
You know what I'm saying? But then again, I
Yeah.
really don't care about it that much.
No,
So I can't
well,
really
that's
fight
the other thing.
You know, yeah.
I've never seen Die Hard.
Kind of the same boat. Like, yeah,
Yeah?
I've seen
Okay.
it, but whatever, you know?
I haven't like
feel
sat
bad.
down and watched it. I've caught it on and been like, okay, there's Die Hard.
I don't want to stray too off topic. You guys did a countdown once. I think it was 10 songs of the summer. I know you put All I Want for Christmas.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I won't
Yeah.
get too deep into it because I know exactly what I said, but there was one song that I think needs to be discussed to be on that list, which is Heaven, DJ Sammy. I remember as far back as I was a kid, I would hear that song on KTU driving home from like elementary school. I'd be like, all right, it's summertime.
That's a good.
So
That's
that's-
good.
so that's-
That was just, I had to make sure I let you guys know that on the air because when I heard it, I was like, that's the one.
That's the
That's the one for me.
That's the remix of Bryan Adams, right? Like
Yes.
the original.
Yeah.
Yes. Which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
even
No,
better
that's a
that
good
you
one.
said it like that because it's
Yeah,
a fact. It is
that's
a
a good
remake.
one.
Can't forget about Bryan Adams.
I'd be hyped to hear both of those songs on Sunday.
Ah,
I'd
probably
go
will,
crazy.
tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You would hear I feel like you would hear the Bryan Adams
Yeah.
version,
Uh,
especially there.
Before we close the door on Christmas for right now, we had an episode back in November, top 10 Thanksgiving side dishes.
Oh, this is the most
And-
ridiculous thing ever.
And I received a lot of heat because when I go to my grandparents, I'm half Italian. So I have a German side and Italian side. The Italian side, my grandma makes chicken cutlets. And that was like my number 3 top favorite side. I'm hoping, I've been to the Taverna house. They have to have chicken cutlets on Thanksgiving.
So I will say this: we don't, but we
Boom.
do have like lasagna.
Okay.
There is like a
That's
dish.
an interesting addition to
Because-
Thanksgiving right
because
there.
there's a lot of people that are like me. I think Thanksgiving dinner is very overrated. Just my opinion. I think it's
I'm not a
mad
big turkey
overrated.
guy, so that's why I'm like,
Exactly. Like I like a turkey cold cut. I like
Yeah.
if it's a turkey chopped turkey or something like that. But the actual turkey itself, it's good. It's boring. So you need a little something to it. Christmas Eve, if you want to stick on the Christmas Eve, trumps all famous meals throughout the year. There's just no comparison.
7 fishes.
That's the thing. I'm not a fish guy.
You can get away with it though. You can get away with it. You can
Yeah.
have a fried shrimp. You can feel like it's
Yeah,
fried
right.
chicken
Yeah.
it's
cutlet,
like not
you know?
really. It's not really fish.
Everyone likes calamari. Let's be real.
Yeah.
All right, what's our next game up on the docket here, Tony?
We got the next game coming up here. We got UTEP and Jacksonville State. UTEP -1. UTEP at Jacksonville State.
Let's see what the line is here before.
Yeah.
Total 53.5. Interesting, weird, funky mid-conference teams, to be honest. I don't know. What do you think of this one?
I liked UTEP coming into the year. They got a lot of junior college transfers, which I like because tell me that's got, shout out to Mike there. Tells me that they want to win now, right? They're guys that have experience playing. It's a short line. This line's been jumping back and forth, so sharps are kind of hitting both sides right now. I'm leaning UTEP. It's going to be my one of my plays of the week.
I lean UTEP just because when I think Jacksonville State, I don't think good college football team. They've been bad in years past. I know they were decent last year, but I'm going UTEP. The JUCO transfer is a big thing. Players that want to win, they're getting to this level for the first time. They're going to be ready to play. I'm going UTEP with this one.
Whole front 7 is JUCO transfers, so
That's very interesting. The whole
Really?
front 7.
yeah.
That's just a good fact to know. Knowing nothing about the game whatsoever, just to
Yeah.
know that they're all JUCO transfers, that's pretty badass.
So
I can tell you as a JUCO coach, JUCO transfers are hungry as hell.
that's what I'm saying.
So
Yeah.
that alone for my pick, I go with what you just said. UTEP,
All right, UTEP. I
UTEP
think
all day,
we're all-
JUCO root, baby.
We're all in agreement. so far.
Unanimously Notre Dame and UTEP so far.
We're gonna get faded so hard this week. So you mentioned JUCO, Mike. Tell us a little about your coaching experience right now.
JUCO all day, baby. Yeah, no, we are. This is my 6th year. 2018 is my first year, so let's just say 6.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take at Kingsborough Community College, which is the neighborhood JUCO, no doubt about it. I love it there. You know, I didn't play there, I didn't go there, but I coached with the head coach there now over when I was at Madison.
Mhm.
And when he took over, it was an easy job for me to
Yeah.
kind of get into the mix of it. I love it. There's something about JUCO guys that are different than like D1 commits and even 4 years level guys. They're just hungry.
They're playing because they want to play the game. There's a lot of D1 guys that are just playing because they got the scholarship.
100%.
When you're playing in JUCO, the odds are you're playing just because you love the game. It's extra at that point.
Yep. You're not getting paid for school. That's first of all. And second of all, your grades are probably bad and you were probably overlooked. So when you get that opportunity, and the cool thing is you see a lot of guys that are really good players that just didn't get looks for whatever reason it is, and they come to the JUCO route and they just tear it up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they get a full ride. Like my biggest success so far is recruiting Francesco Bonvini from Italy. So, I work with the national team for the collegiate thing. So anytime they have a player that they think could excel in America, they'll relay it to me. And hopefully I get him, but sometimes it's just not a fact.
Of course.
But I had him for 2 years. He got an offer from Hofstra. He turned it down. He's going to CSI, which is a D2. They're part of the ECC now.
They moved up now. I remember
so
that.
they're big time now good for them. But he lit it up. He was number 2 pitcher in the entire country this year. He led the entire country in strikeouts. And he led us to a regional championship. So, I mean, that's what it's about. You get these people with limited, possibilities to do things. They get an opportunity and they run with it.
And
so
they want to play.
I love it. It's cool to be part of a 4-year program, a D1 program.
No, of course.
But do you see the grittiness of it? And that's what I really enjoy now.
I know. I love. If you've seen Last Chance U on Netflix, it's like the same thing for football or basketball, but it's like the guys.
I wish they did it at us because last year's team was exactly like that. A bunch of 25-year-olds. Like, this is my last shot. But on the college football thing, you talk about the Manziel documentary. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh, that was incredible.
It was very good.
The not knowing he wasn't from oil money thing, like they were making the money themselves.
That was like
wild.
That was like hearing Santa Claus isn't real.
Exactly.
I was in shock about. I mean, I always knew something was up. I just didn't think it was to that magnitude.
What I didn't get was they talked all the time about like how he had these mental problems and he was getting help. Then the end of the thing, he's drinking a beer on the like
playing beer pong in the back. That's what I don't. I mean, I guess it was more of like a mental than it was the physical aspect. But we don't know.
I think he was just tuned out of football. I think he loved playing football in college because of how easy it was for him there and how much of a celebrity it made him and the lifestyle that came with it. And then when you get to the pros, you're 1 in a million.
And I say this all the time. I just think Cleveland in general, there's like a black hole there that I know as Jet fans, like we have something over us as well, but
we're still New York.
Whoever goes to Cleveland just as a city in general is not a good one to be around. And then when you're bad, what is there to do there? He said he was going back to his apartment and just kind of sitting there. Yeah. Like there's nothing else to do.
It's true.
No, I know. I mean, he struck me as a guy like this. He didn't love it anymore. That's what.
Well, no, he says it. He said he told his agent he didn't want to play anymore, and then they were kind of just going through the motions at that point, and he was still playing games, which is just crazy. That you're playing in the NFL with no will to play it. You could generally get hurt at that point.
Yeah. Now I started today the first 2 parts of the Florida documentary.
I saw that came out. I didn't get to watch it yet.
The Tebow,
yeah. So the first 2 episodes cover prior to Tebow. Like he's a freshman. They win the national title with Chris Leakey quarterback, and Tebow's kind of like this like myth. Everyone's like pushing for him to get in, but it's just that's a story that like it writes itself. It's unbelievable. The people on that team that
it is wild actually if you think about it.
I think they sent over the course of Urban Meyer's saying like 56 players to jail, something like that.
What?
Yeah, it's absurd. It's absurd. You mentioned your connection to the Italian baseball community. Give me your Mount Rushmore of Italian-American baseball players.
Oh, wow. Well, obviously, Piazza's no, like...
I was going to say, Piazza's got to be...
It's not even a question.
It's not even... Yeah. Even if he wasn't, I'd still put him on there. You got to say Joe D.
The Yankee Clipper.
Yeah. Got to say Yogi Berra. You just kind of have to. I want to give something that's a little bit more, like, obscure and worthy of it.
I'll tell you who I'm thinking of once...
Tell me who you're thinking of first.
It's
quick draw.
I met this guy... I met him in Baltimore, Francisco Cervelli.
Cervelli, he's like Argentinian.
Is he? He's not Italian?
Yeah, he's not Italian. He's like, but there's a lot of Italians in like Argentina, Brazil. So yeah, but I think I'm pretty sure 90% he's actually like Argentinian or Brazil.
I met him in Baltimore. I ran to Jeter at the same time. Crazy story. Cervelli had the most cologne I've ever smelled in a human being ever.
I got a funny story about him too. It actually happened back in April. We were at the wedding we went to in Dominican Republic. He was on the line for custom.
No way.
Right behind me.
Really?
Right behind me. And I remember looking, I kept doing this. I for some reason, like I didn't really talk to him because I wasn't sure. Yeah. But I kept Googling on the line because he had this like hand tattoo and like it just looked like him. He's one of those faces that you just know.
Yeah.
Especially living in New York.
When you watch the sport too, it's like you know what these guys look like. You're not gonna realize when you're standing next to them.
Exactly. And when you're from the state that they played in, like if you turn around and say, oh yeah, like that's Timo Perez. Freaking Tampa Bay is not going to know who Timo Perez is.
No.
Right. We will. You know what I'm saying? Francisco Cervelli, same thing. Unless you're with the Pirates or something like that. But yeah, I didn't notice his stench, but
No, he smelled great.
But the last one, man, you kind of put me on the spot, and I feel like an idiot because I want to give you like a really good one, but I mean, those are the three like head honchos. I think if you want to like add, I think if you want to add somebody that's like important, but maybe not a player, I'd look at someone like Tommy Lasorda. And I know that's like, maybe not as sexy as the other three, but when
in
you
terms
think
of what he did for the game,
yes, and like just the impact in general. So I would throw him up.
Yeah, no, he's
a
big deal, right? He's up there for.
We named an award after him.
Or Joe Torre. Joe Torre.
Yeah, Joe Torre. I mean, probably would pay me a little bit to say Joe Torre. I might as well say Bobby Valentine at that point.
All right. Well, I mean, we're on the baseball topic. Let's just get into it. We're struggling right now with our baseball teams in New York.
Take a sip. Let me take a sip.
2 Met fans and a Yankee fan here. It's been tough. What do we need to do to fix? We'll start with the Mets. How do we fix the Mets?
I think they already did. I'll be honest with you. I'm not trying to be one of those Met fans that are like, yeah, this is great. Like, yeah, we suck, but it's okay. First of all, you know how many people in the last like couple of days have said, so are they making you believers again? They're not, because I will not do this to myself.
We've seen this before.
They're not. But
we've seen this before.
The fact that they're in any kind of wild card contention right now with everything that they did, selling off and just playing like shit the first half, that's a plus in my opinion. Second of all, 1973, around the same exact time when they made the World Series and lost to the A's, they're like 8.5 back. Right now, they're 6.5 back.
Crazier things have happened.
That being said, if they make it there, I don't think they have the talent to even hold like a candle to anyone.
The pitching is pissed. But aside from Senga, it's Senga, and then there's the biggest fall off on the planet.
Tyler McGill.
Yeah,
he's pitching tonight. He's probably getting. If I checked, he's probably getting lit up. But Carrasco is miserable. I mean, I like the getting prospects, and they got a haul of prospects. So they're a year or two away. But again, Cohen has showed that he'll probably just try the quick fix for pitching. So he'll try and buy free agents in the pitching in the fall.
I agree.
And we'll see where it goes next year. He'll do the same thing every year, I feel like. If they suck, he'll trade them off.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I happen to agree with that too. I think the Mets have the opportunity, long to sustain winning, and I also think that they have the ability to get right back into it. Where the Yankees, not to sound like a Yankee hater, I don't think they've done enough to prove to the fans that they're willing to go all in. Like really all in every year.
My thing is, I just don't understand how they've kind of held the same team for the last, like, what is it at this point, 4 years?
And they've been able to get away with it. That's what's sickening to me. Knowing that it's the same outcome every year. And then the flip side of it is a Yankee fan will say, well, at least we make it to the American League Championship, but you lose to the Astros every single year, and each year it gets worse.
It's not close. Last year was horrendous. I have to give credit, as much shit as they get, John and Susan Wallman on Yankees radio, I heard them the other day, they were just ripping in the team. Like,
they have to.
At this point, it's like, we have one good hitter. Aaron Judge. Gleyber's average is decent. It's not decent. It's 265. But for the league average, I guess it's this year.
But if I told you before the year, Gleyber's hitting 265 with, what does he have, 20 home runs at this point or whatever 18, it is, you would have been ecstatic because you would have assumed the rest of the team was hitting.
Yeah.
Everybody else
I don't know
is
what
just
the deal
falling
is
apart.
With John Carlos Stanton, like the guy's like he has the body of a 90-year-old man.
No, he can't stay on the field. And then when he does, he's either ice cold or he's on fire. There's no in between.
Either of you see? I think it was one of the Barstool podcasts had a ex-Yankee minor leaguer on talking about the analytics department.
No,
it was within the last couple of days. It was going around.
I did see though before we get into that the John Boy thing with Boone. And you can see he's at his breaking point right now.
Yeah. Oh,
you can see that he's just like, there's not much more I can say to defend this, but I have to.
And the other thing is, they're the only ones that actually dig into him because Michael Kay and them, they feed into whatever he tells them. I don't know if they're told themselves to like kind of hold back. John Boy is the only person that I've ever seen hold him accountable.
Yeah.
I hate the interactions between Boone and John Boy because he looks at he's like, oh, these are two fans. You know, he like belittles.
He doesn't take them seriously.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard that, but you could tell he's getting agitated, which I think is great.
Anyway, this Yankee minor leaguer was on talking about how the Yankees are using this stat. I forget the exact name, but it was basically like weighted on base percentage.
WOBA?
No, it was more letters. Taking into account launch angle and bad luck as well. So it took no accountability for strikeouts. So he was saying, why do you see all these players like Donaldson, Rizzo, guys that strike out an insane amount because they don't look at it at all? He said in the minor leagues, they were doing like a medicine ball workouts just to promote launch angle and build that motion up.
Yep.
So that's what they're looking at. And I mean, It's not going to work.
You talk about one of the best Yankees of all time, probably one of the best players, regardless of, the asterisk next to him, A-Rod. I don't know if you saw him on MLB Network where he's talking about the difference between players today coming up in the system and when he was coming up is that they taught you how to hit the ball like this, down on the ball, which is square it up. And if you square a ball up and you hit it on the barrel, guess what? It's going to be a home run.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you do this and you hit a barrel, it's going to go really high and really far, but the odds are you're going to whiff half the time.
Pop up, yeah.
And I don't know what changed. I don't know if it's a ratings thing. I don't know if it's just, a couple of guys having success, but I don't remember when the game went from that to that.
Right.
It's just wild.
I think it's just that, and when I was talking to one of my friends yesterday about because I said Beatty goes down to the minor leagues and he starts hitting.
Yeah.
Are they showing them too much information at the major league level?
I think it's yes, and I also think that people forget how big of a jump AAA is to the major
No, of
leagues,
course, but at the same time, I just feel like it's so much more simplified down there, whereas in the majors, they have so much in the analytics department that they're showing them way too much information that it's like, what the hell am I doing right now?
Remember the Chili Davis thing when they fired him and they were like, he was hitting and he simplified hitting because he was an old school guy.
Yeah, but
and they said he was too less analytical, and then they brought in that dude last year that no one knew what he was. He had glasses. No one knew who he was.
No.
And the hitting got even worse, but
it's I feel like they're getting shown too much information that they're just not. When they get in these slumps, they're thinking way too much.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it used to be just like, okay, what pitches did he throw you last time? Okay, get out there and hit them. Like you used to have to watch the at bats to see what was going on.
I always like to say the Moneyball A's still had Miguel Tejada, who won the MVP. It doesn't get mentioned in the movie.
They don't talk about that in the movie at all. Miguel Tejada is not in that movie whatsoever.
Yeah. He won the MVP that year, just so everyone knows. Analytics don't work that well.
the feel of the game is also very different than analytics. You're really looking at all right, the iPad's telling you that if you get a fastball up and in on the first pitch, you have a 70% chance of hitting it compared to a fastball down and out. Like when you're looking at pitches like that, where that's just too much.
You need to have a good mix. Like you need to have a mix of analytics and feel for the game. Yeah. That's where there's got to be a happy medium.
I'm begging the Yankees. There's a runner on second with nobody out. Just hit a ground ball to the right side, get him over.
There's nobody out man on second. At that point, just bunt him the fuck over.
Well, that's
that works too.
And I say that about this extra inning rule. That you start with this guy on second base. How do you not bunt every single
Especially
time?
Nobody out. It's not like
every single time you bunt. Then all you got to do is hit the ball to the right side.
Bunt them over immediately. That's it. Right?
But I think
fly ball, anything.
I truly believe that there's players that can't do it. That literally cannot get a bunt down.
Nobody's asking. Think about the guys that are making the majors. Nobody's asking them to bunt in high school because they're the best player on your team. That's the truth of it. They're not teaching it anymore. And then when you get to the majors, they're just assuming, okay, this guy should be able to bunt. You got here. But they can't bunt at all.
Listen, I was a great freaking bunter.
Because you couldn't do anything else. So they had you. It's a great
point, though. It's another point of JUCO because same thing. The guys that you get at the JUCO level, even if it's D1, they're not like guys that you're like, oh man, he's been a prospect since he's 12 years old. Like getting guys where it's like, no, you can't hit a 90-mile-per-hour fastball. You need to
get ready to move him over. Yeah. No, that's the biggest thing.
It's wild.
Last on the baseball topic for today, and we got to talk about it because it's just so viral right now. Wander Franco.
I don't even know where to begin. I guess
it looks like he's going to be out of the game. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Yeah,
Trevor Bauer type thing. Yeah, Trevor Bauer type situation.
I think is there a shot he's going to jail? There's a shot, right?
Did it happen in Dominican Republic or did it happen in America?
I think in the DR.
The story that I heard and from one of his people put out was that he was 17 or something and she was 13 or whatever. And when he came to America, when the Braves took him, he was like, I can't talk to you until whatever. I guess.
So he tried to adapt to the American way.
That either that's what happened, and then she saw how much money he's making, and she's trying to make a story of it, or he actually did do this. They're investigating it. They kind of shut him down. There's no information coming out about it whatsoever. So that's the thing. I don't really know what to say at this point. But he's been shut down by baseball. It does not look good for him.
They also learned from Trevor Bauer.
That's the thing.
You learn when you have that precedent and how much negativity it brought, and such a high-profile guy, high-paid guy. You're going to stay the hell away from that. You got to.
Yeah. I mean, even if nothing comes of it, I think he's going to get a suspension regardless. Just because, his name being attached to it, I think he's going to get something. At this point, I don't think he comes back this year. I don't think that's an option whatsoever. Because I don't think it gets absolved. I don't think it gets resolved for at least another 6-7 months.
Oh, yeah, easily.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I feel bad. I don't know. I don't know how to feel because we don't know the story.
Yeah, and we also, it's wild because of how, how the quality you're expecting to get from him, and now that's just gone. You know,
That's like
that's the sad
Literally hit a
part.
walk-off home run, I think,
yeah.
2 nights before the story came out or whatever it was.
they're banking on a top 5 player in the MLB in a
Yeah,
couple years.
easily.
It's gone.
Like-
Just signed a massive
Yeah.
contract.
You're talking about one of the guys that was like, they were trying to make him the face of the MLB. It's hard because the guy's in Tampa, no one's paying attention to, just because they market that team so terribly. You would not know that they're in like first place competing for the AL and everything.
every year.
You would have
right?
no idea.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, you hope everything turns out okay for everybody involved.
Game number 3 up on the docket this week. We got UMass plus 6.5 at New Mexico State. The total is 45. Tony, I got nothing on this game.
It's
This is-
UMass is one of the worst teams like every year.
If you're watching this game, you have a serious problem. Go out and enjoy your Saturday afternoon.
I don't even think this is on TV.
It's
you probably
5:30.
can't even get on.
If I had to choose a side, so this line opened up plus 8 for UMass. It's down to plus 6.5. I guess I'll go UMass. I'm just gonna go with the points in a game like this.
No, I
take
would
the
just
points.
take New Mexico State because New Mexico State's at home. It's under a touchdown. I think UMass is that bad, and I mean, I don't care about the game at all. This is the least important game of the season, probably.
Of the entire season. This is probably a good chance it is. So yeah, okay, we'll be against each other on that one. I'll go plus 6.5 UMass.
I'll take the home team. I don't know enough about either of them. I'm just gonna take the home team in it.
I don't know anything about, but I was definitely thinking about just betting the dog. But now that it's split like that, might have to just do it. Yeah, I'll go with UMass. I'm literally gonna bet on it right now.
There we go.
Shits and giggles.
See how he does.
That's the epitome of bad football. And speaking of bad football, I mean, we're not supposed to be bad anymore. The New York Jets.
Yes, sir.
You're sitting here with 3 big time Jet fans. My favorite part of every season.
3 suffering Jet
It's-
fans. We've
Mike,
been
I
to opening
think-
night. What is it? 3 years
I was
in a row
gonna say,
at this
Mike, we've
point?
gone with you
I
to
think-
opening day 3 or 4 years in a row, probably.
Way more for me. I think we've been doing
Yeah.
it since literally when the first opening day we went to. I think it was when they beat the Bucks in overtime with
Geno Smith.
Was it Geno Smith?
That was when Levante David pushed him out of bounds on like a late hit. They got put in field goal range and they kicked the field goal. I
I think that was the first.
I swore we were going to the Super Bowl with Geno Smith. And
Listen.
look how good he is now, but
I want to break down how our typical opening day for the Jets goes. We wake up like 7 a.m. Everybody's super excited.
everybody's pumped.
Amped. We get on this bus out to MetLife. The whole ride there, everybody's amped. We got the tailgate going. We go inside, get our asses kicked. We come back out saying, I remember there's 2 years ago, you were sitting there and you were like, we're never doing this again.
Well, that was
Never doing
because
this
it wasn't. It was week 2 was the game. Zach Wilson's first home game. He threw what was it? 4
picks.
picks.
Yeah.
We were
Four
sitting in the parking lot like, what do we do now? Like there's
What's the
no
point?
coming
What is
back
the
from
point?
this.
You
But
know?
yet, year in and year out, we go back.
You know what? Because honestly, like I started looking at it because the Jets have not been good for a long time. Let's just be frank. They've not been good for a long time. In 2009, 2010, they were like a blast to watch. We got teased the year with Fitzpatrick.
The 2015, and then we thought 2016 was gonna be great. They were terrible that
Even
year.
worse, right? Even worse. But there's something about opening day, a fresh start. It's still hot
In
out.
every sport. That's,
so I
football
love
and
that.
baseball. Yeah.
Yeah.
But people always ask me like, "Oh, do you regret giving up your season tickets now that they're supposed to be good?" I said, "Absolutely not." You know how much money I would have lost over those
yeah,
years?
exactly.
I would have not went to any game.
And the prices of football season tickets are wild at
they're
this point.
sick. Like,
That's something that even if the team gets worse, they keep going up, and I don't understand
Wild,
it, but it's
wild.
incredible.
I say it. I've said it before. I said it with Zach Wilson too, but this time it's really different.
Well, because if you look at it,
We
went to
we're legit.
3 years in a row. Zach Wilson was week 1. Then last year we saw Joe Flacco played. I don't know if you guys remember
Oh,
that.
yeah,
we
we
got
do.
Joe Flacco against
and
Lamar Jackson.
after the Browns win, we were just like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
what is happening?"
This
right
year we
now?
get Aaron Rodgers. We could lose the game on that opening night, and I won't be upset because I'm going to look at the team and say they actually put a team out that is supposed to compete.
I don't like that they're the dog for week 1. I understand that they are, and I'm actually I'm happy.
I get it. I know how much they respect Buffalo. The league respects Buffalo a lot.
You have to. They're the team to beat. And I was
No,
I
of
was
course.
saying,
In the
like,
division, with absolutely.
all the hype that the Jets have. If I was Josh Allen and the Bills, I'd be looking like laughing, like looking as a challenge. Just like you guys are the same old Jets to us.
For the first time in 13 years, we have a target on our backs. Because even the year in 2015, no one knew we were coming. Like we just ended up being good.
It fits. They're like,
This is the first time since 2010 we have a target on our backs that people are going to say we want to beat the Jets.
Yeah. Big target. Like
Yeah.
villain status. Heel.
Yeah.
Heel.
I'm
heel.
okay with it. I
Hard
like
knocks
it. I
tonight.
like being the hated team. It's fun, but
And I just want to say this on the record. Garrett Wilson makes the jump to a top 5 receiver this year.
I agree 100%. Hands down. I think he goes to the tail end of, if you're in a 12-man league, I think he goes to the tail end of round 1.
Oh, that's a
I
good
think,
shot.
I think
Yeah,
11 or
that's a good
12 would pick him in the first
there's
round.
no reason not to.
Yeah.
I mean,
In receiver
the
heavy
the numbers he was putting up, and I say this as a Jet fan, but the numbers he was putting up with the worst quarterbacks literally in football last year. I liked Mike White, but my God, that guy's just as bad as the rest of them.
Bro, I got a Mike White shirt. Just goes to shit. I got to like.
He already got hurt. He
stop
got a
buying
concussion.
stuff.
He
I
had a
gotta stop
concussion last
buying
game.
Jet
He,
stuff.
he cannot stay on the field. That was like the biggest thing with
The
him.
problem is, I just keep thinking, what's gonna go wrong?
I know it's tough. It's really like
I don't want to get excited.
you know. If someone asked me this question, and he can relate to it a little bit more than you. They said to me and looked me in the face, and they said, like, do you see any similarities? Do you get the same feeling? I'm like, about what? Like the Jets suck every year. Like what's something? He goes, no. Think of another team. And then he said the Mets, and I said, whoa. I said, now you just really threw my mind on a loop. Like you got me all fucked up now. All my hype and excitement just turned right down the toilet. And I'm sitting there. I was like, it is a very similar situation. The big thing, though, thanks to Hard Knocks, one of the biggest controversies and conspiracies that they said about the Mets this year was that the chemistry is so wrong than last year.
Right.
The pitchers didn't get along anymore. There was something in the locker room. We don't know what it is, but something
and
going
the thing
on.
is, you'll never know. Like you'll hear different reports of different players. Like I've heard it was Scherzer. I've heard it was Verlander. I've heard it was Alonso.
Yes.
You have no idea what the problem is going to be because you're not in the locker room, and the reporters are going to make it up because if they don't like a player, they can say whatever the hell they want.
Whatever they want.
Yeah.
Whatever they want.
And they're also getting told, okay, you go find out this answer, and if you don't get it, put this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Put something out, or you're fired.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I like about Hard Knocks is you look at the Jets and it's like you don't sense that toxicity from them at all. Like you sense that the team is literally looking at Aaron Rodgers and saying he's a GOAT. We respect him. We'll do whatever he wants. We'll make shit happen.
And I think that's the biggest thing is, and we know they had their problems with Zach Wilson last year, but everybody's buying in the Rodgers, including Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that you have to show that this guy knows what he's doing. Let's get behind him and let's go.
The best thing for Zach Wilson's career, by the way.
110%.
He looked good this last preseason game.
He's
And
looking better.
again, we haven't
progress.
We haven't scored a touchdown, but I saw something like last year his average time on a throw was 2.9 seconds. He's already knocked it down about 0.7 seconds or something. So he's getting rid of the ball quicker.
Yeah.
Even
that's
that
with a crappy line, right?
even that type of improvement is something as a positive at this point.
Yeah.
And I love that Rodgers just comes off as such a good guy. Like he just looks like a genuine good guy.
I mean, people made him seem like an asshole. I thought he was the worst,
like the whole
worst guy on
the whole
planet.
retreat thing, and everyone was kind of getting on him. He's a great guy.
Yeah. And I also too, when he comes to New York, he's gonna eat alive with this whole darkness stuff. He's embracing it.
Yeah,
and he said something last week that like made sense. He's like, I forget what player he was talking to. He's like, being in the same place my entire career, he's like, it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because this is the breath of fresh air he needed. Everyone thought he was done. They're like, oh, he just needed something new.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, high hopes. We got a tough early schedule. That's the biggest
We got
thing.
a tough schedule.
They survived that early run. I think we got Chiefs, Chargers, Cowboys,
Bills.
Broncos, Bills. You survive that early run. I think
Mark my words, Broncos. We are
you have to.
decimated.
You could lose
We are
the rest
gonna-
of the season.
We are going to decimate.
We have to kill them.
Trust me when I tell you, Rodgers going to throw about 6 touchdowns that game.
They have to kill them.
Real quick, just to end off the Jets talk here. I don't know. I never even asked you this, Tony. Favorite Jet ever?
That's really a great question, actually. Mark Gastineau. I didn't really live to watch him, but
Yeah.
he was a dog.
Yep.
He's an absolute lunatic. And I don't know if you guys were at the game, but Matt can tell you the story. I was wearing his jersey and we had great seats. We were just like in the end zone a couple of years ago. And Gastineau was walking around the whatever the concourse was in the 100 level. And someone said, oh, Gastineau's there. You want his jersey? I said, all right, let's go find him. And the ushers were ushering him out. And like, all right, no more. And he saw me and Matt at the top thing and he saw the jersey, pointed to me. He's like,
Oh, hey.
like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a great
yeah.
picture. I'll find it. He looks
Yeah.
sick. Looks like a sick man. Like he will. You're a quarterback. Watch out.
Yeah.
Watch
No,
out.
I can imagine.
I mean, for us, I feel like the easy answer is Revis.
Yeah.
In terms of what we
Or
saw,
Cravat.
You tried to
Cravat-
fight Revis.
I did.
on
I
Twitter.
fought with him on Twitter. That's irrelevant. I don't remember what that was
When he was
about.
a Patriot, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think it was when he was a Patriot.
He was telling Revis he would put him on skates.
Oh my god.
I don't remember what there was like. There was a context behind it though.
As
and I
long as
don't
you
remember
understand that, you would.
No, I mean, guys, look at me. I mean, I'm not putting Revis on skates. Prince Mukamura, who I also fought with, I might put
yeah.
him on skates.
Yeah, that's true. Prince Mukamura's
He's
pretty bad.
terrible. I gotta say Revis for us though. It's Revis or like Curtis Martin is a second behind me. I'm
Yeah.
a big Curtis Martin guy.
So you're thinking like GOATs. Like my personal favorites were like, I always loved Brad Smith. I loved him in college.
Brad, I mean,
Like he's just a fun guy to play.
Yeah.
You do it all. Danny Woodhead. was.
I'm not
I
gonna lie to
loved
you. One
him
of my
as well.
favorite just players of all time, even though it was 1 year. Braylon Edwards that 1 year was.
Oh, yeah.
And Santonio Holmes.
That was
Yeah.
the two of them. That oh my god, I
You know what I
love the two
loved
of
about
them.
Braylon Edwards that years? He bought into being a Jet. And
Yeah.
even now in retirement, like as many years as he played on the Browns, he's like,
Yeah.
I'm a Jet. Like
Yeah.
he admires.
He's
being a Jet.
still like he'll come to the Jets, but I don't see him do anything else
Exactly.
for Cleveland.
Same
He
thing
come
with Decker. I don't know if you noticed that. Decker's doing
Decker
the same
and
thing.
Brandon Marshall, and I get it because he kind of had ugly leaves at all the other
Yeah.
places. He claims Jets 24/7.
Yeah. Bart Scott, can't forget about him. Same thing. Another guy claims Jets.
I was gonna say
Love Bart
one of my
Scott.
favorite actually like just players not go Jericho Cotchery, just low key like one of my favorite Jets of all time. Did a lot on the bad teams,
Yeah.
was there for the good teams as well. Like he to me was just I loved him.
He's
And-
also a huge part of those two AFC championships.
Yep.
You had
Massive.
the two, you had the
Massive.
two, A-list receivers, and then you had Cotchery
Yeah.
who got shit done.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our what probably is the game of this terrible week 0, the biggest game of the week. We got Ohio from the MAC traveling to San Diego State to take on the Aztecs. +2. Ohio is +2.5. The over/under is 49. Tony, I'm riding Curtis Rourke here, the MAC Offensive Player
We're
of
going
the
against each other
Year.
again.
You love Curtis Rourke.
But I told you I think San Diego State second in the Mountain West behind Boise State, and they're at home. I think San Diego State makes a statement here. I don't think Ohio is ready. I think Mountain West is better than the MAC at this point, so I don't think they're ready for the step up in defense. We know how good San Diego State's defense is. I'm going Aztecs here. I gotta. Rourke's gonna have a little bit of a rough game that first game out there.
All right, I'm going to ride with him. I'm going to take the points. Ride with the MAC
love MAC
Offensive
football.
Player of the Year.
That's the thing. You love MAC football.
I know Ohio, so I'm going to go with Ohio State.
Listen, he's going to end up undefeated this week.
100%. 100%.
Tell
You guys
Mike's
are tied.
picks.
I need to remember. I need to remember what I picked. I think I'm just going to do a shitty
Yeah.
$10 parlay.
You should,
and
yeah.
everything and just see what happens.
All right, so Mike, we have to have a little wrestling talk because,
Be
that's
disrespectful not to.
right. I want to give you a unique question though, one you've never gotten before. I need something good. Give me a gimmick, past or present, that you're like, that's one that if I wasn't Man of Steel, that's one that I'd take.
I got an easy answer for you because before I got hurt, we were experimenting with it, and I don't want to say the FBI directly because that exists, but the two parts of that answer is one, they're doing a reincarnation of the FBI with Nunzio in a company called Major League Wrestling,
Mhm.
which is it's televised, but it's not like a major thing. So they wanted me to get involved with that. Obviously, I wasn't able to, but before that, a lot of the companies that I worked with were doing something like basically they would call me the Hollywood Man of Steel, Hollywood Verna, whatever it was.
Right.
And it would kind of be like this mix of like this mob boss / like Hollywood dude. That,
Yeah, right, right.
imagine like Henry Cavill in a suit,
Yeah.
but was Italian. That was the character they were trying to put out there. And I was buying into it because I love the Man of Steel gimmick because it literally paid my bills for as many years as I was doing it.
Right.
So I can't say it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But like everything, you eventually just reach a point where like you don't find it as fun anymore. The fans may like it, but you're just kind of like, all right, what else can I do? Like,
Yeah.
They're talking
Right.
about now with the Bloodline for people who follow the interweb wrestling fans. The
Shout out to Frank.
Bloodline, yeah, Frank, there you go. The Bloodline was amazing. It's probably the best storyline that I think any wrestling has done.
I mean,
in years.
I've gotten back into it probably since the Royal Rumble. Like I've been like
Because
kind of locked in, like still watching. It's one of the best storylines that I watched wrestling. Like, this is one of the best storylines that I remember in a long time.
100%.
And they've been doing it for 3 years. That's the
Yes.
craziest part.
And the amazing thing about that, to kind of balance off what I was saying, is like now you're in a situation where it's like, what else can you do? Like, what's next? Until you bring in The Rock or you bring in Rikishi and like the Wild Samoans and the actual,
Well,
Samoan
the
lineage.
Rikishi and the Rock is like that's what I feel like everybody's waiting for it to come
Yeah.
next. Like obviously they had Jey Uso leave like that. We don't know what's going to happen with that next, but I think that was a good move because it kind of
You needed
caught everybody
something.
by surprise a
Yeah,
little bit.
You needed
So
something. You needed something, and that's my fear. And it's very similar to having like an actual character. It's like when you reach a point when something's really, really good, eventually it starts to get stale. You
Yeah.
know? Whether the
Yeah,
fans
and-
say it or you feel it, it gets there.
no,
Right.
100%.
Just creatively, you want a new challenge.
Yeah, you want something different. And I remember when I first turned heel. Most of my career was babyface. Period. Amen.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's paying the bill, so why change it? And then eventually, but this is before I even realized it was stale. But certain companies were like, "Hey, let's try the heel thing," and I said, "You know what? Hell yeah, let's do it." And I was having a blast. I was having more fun being a heel than a babyface.
Is there someone you've been in the locker room with that you were like totally starstruck by?
That question is so funny because not to pat myself on the back or boost my ego, not at all. But I become numb to it. I think there's two people that I think would really like starstruck me, and one was Piazza, who now I like work with and see pretty often. So like that kind of even dumbed down now.
No,
like,
of course,
And it killed me because the first time I met him, like, yo, my entire life, I just met him last December.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm finally like, I'm gonna show him the tattoo. I'm gonna fucking, and now, you know, when I see him a little more often, it's like, it's cool. It's still awesome, but you lose that. And the other thing I think would be The Rock. So, you know, I've seen Cena a bunch of times. I've seen Triple H a bunch of times. It's cool because you're in the locker room with them, but nothing really like gets me, and it's sad because you still want that feeling a little bit.
In a way, though, that's good because like you have to keep that even keel when you're around them. Because like you obviously like there's a party that's probably like a little kid inside, like oh my god, I'm with these guys, and then at the same time, it's like I got to keep my cool, show like I'm one of them, you know.
And that's something that they taught you early on in the business. And acting, I learned the same thing. And if it wasn't for that, I think I wouldn't have like picked up in the acting world as beneficial. Was they say like, you know, I have all these veterans that are like, oh, you know, you can't take pictures, you can't be a fanboy.
Yeah.
It helps as much as it sucks. Yeah, the business trended more now where it's like, all right, you could take these pictures, you could act like a fanboy.
Yeah.
You never know. The way wrestlers disappear, it's like, is that good?
Yeah.
It happened last time, to be honest, too.
I was like,
It still goes
hold that thought.
Phil Brooks an asshole?
No comment.
I don't get the AEW hate. I look at Nick Hume's Twitter and I've seen a couple episodes. It looks
that
good.
is an all-time great Twitter that you just mentioned. I wake up in the morning and I see who did he fight with in the last 24 hours.
All right, what's our next game up here? We're getting to the end. Only a few games left. Oh, going to the beautiful, well, right down to Nashville.
We're in
Hawaii,
Vanderbilt, but Hawaii is playing.
That's a wild
headed to Vanderbilt. It's a weird game. Last year, Vanderbilt wins 65-10.
I'm not going to lie. I think I had Hawaii.
Me too. And I'm running it back this year. Hawaii's my player of the week. Mike, let me explain something to you. They recruited a rugby player. His name is Eddie Nikita Osu. His nickname is the fastest man in the Samoa.
Oh, boy.
How are we not taking the fastest man in the Samoa?
Yeah. You got found a new head of the table, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm taking Hawaii plus 17.5. Vanderbilt, regardless, Clark Lee's their coach. He prides himself on defense. They don't play good defense. Give me Hawaii with 17 points. I think this is more of like a 14.5 number.
I'm riding with Hawaii too because I got to pull up this picture of Vanderbilt's end zone because their stadium is not even remotely close to done. And they're playing a game on Saturday. Hold on, I got to pull it up.
They're like just blocks off Broadway.
That is what I'll show the camera. That is what their stadium currently looks like.
Yeah, I'll post it. I'll post it in the.
We'll make a post about it. But their stadium is not even remotely close to done. Hawaii's getting some starters back. Vanderbilt actually lost a lot. I'm going Hawaii to cover. It's a big spread. I mean, I hope they travel well this time. They got embarrassed last year. A little revenge spot. I'll take the points.
Yeah, I think the points is definitely a good bet. Not that I know anything about it, but we're dealing with something that's also, you know, we go back to the wrestling storylines in all sports.
Tragedies in Hawaii.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this week. So I'm going with Hawaii as well. I'm going money line. Screw the points.
Whoa.
Let's go.
Like whoa. All right, Mike. Best advice you've ever gotten in show business, and who gave it to you?
Ooh, in show business, well, there's plenty. Chaz Palminteri has given me some of the best advice in life. Period. Amen. Like any things he says, like you can quote it beyond belief.
Yeah, I can imagine.
One of the best advice I think that he's ever given me is he said, like especially when you do an audition, you walk into a room that's very similar to this. It's figure it's you two right here. I'm standing there. There's a camera there, and you have to realize that these people that you're performing in front of, they do not matter. You have to look at them like they don't matter. You have to think that they're literal pieces of shits because as soon as you go in there and you start thinking that they're important, they've already beat you. You're already next.
Yeah.
Next. So 100%. I always think about that. And you have to think about that also in like the wrestling landscape of things, even in sports.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking about meeting Piazza. It's like if I fanboy to Piazza, how am I ever going to be able to work with him where he can take you?
You have to think of yourself on a level playing field as everybody you're getting with.
Exactly. And in acting specifically, like when you're standing in front of people that actually make a decision on your career, which normally has nothing to do with how good or bad you are. It usually has to do with, is this person right for the role? Does he make the co-star look good? There's, whatever. There's so many different factors into it. You have to realize that no matter what they say, it does not matter. They mean nothing. Do you. Don't even say hello to them. Say, hi, thank you for having me, walk out. Don't walk up to them, shake their hands, do any of that bullshit. Once you do that, and once you believe that, everything becomes much easier. Much easier.
And that's a great attitude tattoo or anything.
You have, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why it was so cool when you said it, because you can really look at it from all sides of the spectrum in anything you do.
Yeah. And that's
with the hot corner, imagine, like all the people you may meet for signing, your boy Trevino. he wouldn't be able to be in your DMs, you and your brother's
Right,
DMs,
yeah.
if you thought of him as, oh shit, this is the Yankees catcher. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you want cards, bro? No doubt, I got you. Yeah.
But it's funny that's his line in Bronx Tale too, right? He says nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
cares,
And, you know,
yeah.
the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Put
Yeah.
right
Oh,
on
you
my
got it?
skin.
You got it?
I
Yeah.
had to, man, because
Yeah.
it's true. It's true. There's so many people that believe, that have abilities to do certain things, and they just don't do it.
Yep.
They just don't do it. Shout out to the Red Stress podcast, man. Right?
Trying to do
You
it.
can do it. You just do it.
Listen, we're about to hit 20K on TikTok, so better be
Wow.
following.
Look at that.
We got 2 games left. Next up, we got a terrible game. San Jose State traveling to take on USC.
I mean, it's a good game because this is one of the best teams in the country. Let's not USC and Caleb Williams is here. Caleb Williams is a generational player. It's just they're playing San Jose State.
Right. It's what can we say? It's a returning Heisman, the returning Heisman winner against a not very good team. So I'm nervous to take a big spread on opening week. I kind of want to take the under 66.5 here because I
was going to say the over. That's wild.
My
that you're
question
going
is
the
how
under.
is San Jose? How are they scoring?
Well, USC's defense is terrible. We know this.
Yeah, but San Jose State is San Jose State.
I think they'll give up some points towards the end. I think USC themselves can get to like 56.
Well, we're only counting.
Legitimately.
We're only picking up 2 official plays, right?
Two official, but we're picking.
Yeah.
We're picking for every game.
I'm
here.
taking the under in this one.
I would go over. I think USC could put up at least 56 to 60 by themselves, and I think their defense is not that great. So I'm going to go over.
All right.
In a week 1 type thing or week 0, whatever you want to call it, would they take out their starters in the 3rd or 4th quarter?
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah,
That's-
definitely.
They
yeah.
would.
So then maybe there is a chance.
That's the other thing.
Maybe there is a chance.
They take out the even worse defense.
There's a really good chance Caleb Williams does not see the second half.
No, because if
Or
they
the
go up
fourth
like
quarter
30,
for
if they
sure.
go up like 35-0, that's when I could get screwed because if they put the backups in.
Yeah. We're gonna do some more Sopranos talk at the end of the episode here,
Favorite show, man. Love
but
it.
Tony Soprano, dead or alive?
I wish he was alive, but what, is there a conspiracy thinking that? Oh wait, you talking about Tony or James Gandolfini?
Tony.
Oh, Tony. Yeah, I was like, I wish he was alive, man. I wish. Jeez,
I know
Is
he
this something
said-
I need to know?
And he was about to go dark on us.
Straight up. He's dead, man. He's dead. He's definitely dead.
And how do you think it happens?
I think he gets shot. I mean, I don't know if it's a members only guy. I don't even know what it is, but I
Yeah.
remember watching it, and it was in 2007, so I must have been like a freshman in high school. And I was, I didn't start watching The Sopranos when it first started, but I caught up to it. I think I
Yeah.
started watching it live in the 4th season, so I watched like seasons 1 to 3 on those big old fat VHSs back in the day. Just binged it before binging was a thing. And in the first episode of that season 6, whether it was part 1, part 2, I forget, they're on the boat with Bobby Bacala,
Mhm.
and he says, like, "What do you think happens when it happens?" And
Goes
Tony
black,
said,
yeah.
"Everything goes to black."
Yeah.
I mean, from that moment, I put 2 and 2 together when the season finale happened. I go, that must have been it. Straight up, that must have been it.
I like to kind of think there's something very comforting in thinking like, okay, our time with them was just done, and it went to black. And Tony, they still live on, because I don't know, it's so gruesome to think he was murdered in front of his whole family there.
It's one of the most head scratching endings in TV show history.
I think it's the most famous.
It's
of all time.
without
think about
question.
Everyone's still talking about it.
Still talking about
As much
controversy.
controversy as it got when
Well,
it
because
came out.
in recent years too, like with the bigger social media's gotten, that show has skyrocketed even more.
Yeah.
Like if that show came out now, I think it would be doing even better than what it was.
100%.
Right.
During COVID, everyone started watching for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full binge. So it just
Yeah.
kind of had like its second.
No, I'm at least 10 watches through at this point.
Nice,
The,
the
the
best.
amount of time.
And
I've
here's
seen
the
it.
beautiful thing about it too is like you can go on YouTube and you can literally do like every season. It'll give you like a 20-minute video of like all the main parts. Like you basically watch a season in 20 minutes and you
Yeah.
you remember everything.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about watching it back is you see all the little minor details because they say about David Chase that everything he wrote was for a reason. He
Yeah.
didn't just say something just to say it. I think Vincent Pastore is one of my teachers as well, and he said a story too about they would see a script and it would say something like "Where you going?" or "Where are you going?" And then an actor like that would say "Where you going?" and David Chase would say "No, where are you going?" Say "Where are you going?"
Correct him.
And that's a big thing. If something's that specific, meaning that everything he writes
Yeah.
needs to be for some
For a
reason.
reason, yeah.
So you look at those little details, you go, oh, shit,
Right.
this is deeper than I even remember.
And I love like this, the details, the symbolism, like the ducks, like
Yeah.
Tony's connection to like the animals. It's
100%.
it's so deep. You watch that show, you see a new
You
thing
learn,
every
yeah, I
time.
was gonna say you learn something
Yeah.
new.
Every woman is like, it all go back to his mother and
Right.
his wife.
Yep.
And AJ, as much as everyone hates AJ, you ever think about it? That's just Tony. with the softer shell.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like that's what Tony
Yeah.
is. Except Tony has the harder surface, and AJ's the the wimp that
I'll say he has one of my favorite lines on the whole show. First episode, he says, "So what? No fucking ZD now."
you know about a famous iconic lives to this day.
Yeah.
AJ falls off after that for me.
No, he has. I was saying this to my
switch.
parents. He's a part of my favorite conversation in the entire series. When it's the Columbus Day episode, and he's talking about he's like he's going through what his teacher taught him, and he says they're going through the famous Italians, and he says, "Didn't Chinese people invent pasta?" And Tony goes, "AJ, why would people that eat with sticks invent pasta?"
In this house, Christopher Columbus,
Right.
is an icon.
Right. All right. Our last game of the week 0. Florida International, one of the worst teams in college football, traveling to Louisiana Tech to take on the Bulldogs.
Yes.
Over-under is 58.5. You know who I'm taking here.
Louisiana Tech.
I love Louisiana Tech this year. Hank Bachmeier in from Boise State. A ton in the transfer portal. They've got Squirrel Williams. They got a guy named Squirrel. Squirrel Williams in from Baylor.
We're finally in
Louisiana Tech.
agreement again. I'm on Louisiana Tech
All
as
right,
well.
good.
We know how much I hate Hank Bachmeier from Boise State last year, but weaker conference, better team. I'm going with Louisiana Tech. Easy.
Go with the experts.
All right.
Go with the experts.
You heard it here
There we
first.
go.
Final question for you, Mike, before we get into our Sopranos top 10 and end our show here. Would you rather headline WrestleMania or star in the blockbuster movie of the year?
That's a good one.
That is probably the best personal question I think anyone's ever asked me. Jesus Christ. Wow. To my wrestling fans, who I love you all, and I will see you again. There's no doubt about it. Whatever's going on with me right now, I will definitely not allow a car accident that someone else did to me take me out of the ring. Just don't know when, but when I do, God bless. So don't take this the hard way. But I think I would have to be a headline like the movie of the year, because strictly professional-wise, career-wise, when wrestling's done, I have to make sure that next part of my career is solidified. And the only way to do that is to shoot for the ceiling there, where I've done a lot in wrestling. I haven't done everything that I wanted to do. I haven't reached the goal of what I would think. But at the end of the day, I'd like to think when I get back in the ring, that's obtainable. Where a Hollywood blockbuster, Oscar-winning thing, that has a lot to do with skill and luck and a lot of connections. And I'm still building that as we speak. So I got to go with that. But that's not an easy one, Eddie. That is not an easy answer.
I'm kind of making you choose a path here.
It's tough. It's tough.
He's
Exactly.
going to text you later and be like, Eddie, I think I answered wrong. I'm not going to lie to you.
Don't clip that. Don't clip that.
I know.
Is there a role that's come out in the last few years that you're like, that's the one I would dream to? That's like my dream role right
so
there.
I actually, before we went on strike with SAG, which is another sick thing, can't work, can't do anything. But I got an audition for probably one of my dream roles, no doubt about it. It was for the new De Niro movie coming out. It's called The Wise Guys. It's written by the same guy who wrote Goodfellas.
Oh wow!
And it has to do with, I forget who the real life gangsters were. Maybe it was, I don't remember who. Maybe Columbo or Bonanno, one of those guys. It was about that. And De Niro played one of them, and I was auditioning to play De Niro's young boy. I was his young dashing. That was the breakdown. You're young, good looking with De Niro. You're his guy. So I'm sitting there. I'm yo, this is game changer.
Yeah.
Game changer. I got beat out by the guy who plays Slater in the Saved by the Bell remake. So
Really?
I did not get it, Slater. I'll be watching you. But that was a dream role. But the best thing about that is, just for anyone who really cares, when you get in the room with those type of people and those type of roles, that's almost as good as getting the role, because at the end of the day, you're lucky. If you have 100 auditions during a year, if you get one of them, that's a successful thing.
Yeah.
A movie like that, you get that and get nothing else for the rest of the year, that sets your career off through the moon. Forget about the financial side of it, but your career is now made. Speaking of Sopranos, though, is when they, David Chase did The Many Saints of Newark, and he signed the 5-year exclusive deal with HBO Max, which means that within these next 5 years, he's got to do something Sopranos related, because David Chase is a genius, but what the hell is he going to make that people are going to want to watch? So when they release that would definitely be one of my major goals, to get on that series.
Yeah, that would be
for sure.
insane.
For sure.
Listen, is it top 10 time or what?
It's top 10 time.
That's a great segue.
That's a great segue. Let's get into it. Now, I'll say this. I usually have a tough time. This was one of the more open and shut top 10s for me, because
writing down the 10 characters was easy for me. Ranking them after the fact was
I kind of didn't
stumbled up.
that I couldn't. There was not any B or C characters I could throw in there. There's too many good characters. I wanted to put in Finn, Meadows' boyfriend. I think he's hysterical.
God.
I think he's funny. Couldn't get him in there.
Finn is
He
probably
has
the
some
reason
great
for the-
storylines.
He's for the war. He's the reason of the war.
When he's in the back of Satriel's after he sees Vito give a head in the
Yeah.
parking lot and they're questioning him. Oh, I
Wait,
die
wait.
every time.
He was
Yeah.
going to construction worker.
They like didn't understand it in the slightest
Yeah.
bit. It was
All right, am I up
hilarious.
first here?
Yeah, go for it. What do you got?
Number 10, I got the best cook besides Dalvin in New Jersey, Artie Bucco. I mean, the guy's hysterical. The actor John Ventimiglia did an amazing job with Artie Bucco. Guy who just wants to be in that life.
Artie Bucco's in my top 10. He's a little bit higher than 10, but
Really?
Artie Bucco is in my top 10.
Number 9, I have the beautiful Drea De Matteo playing Adriana Lacerva. I mean, absolute smoke show. She does such a great job. Long-term parking, I might have to say probably the best episode. I don't want to say the best
Can't-
episode. It's close.
Can't deny her looks. I'm a little tired of her character. Her character kind of didn't do it
I
for
think
me.
her character had such an arc and such a change in direction. I think it's excellent. But you want to ask something there? Is she alive? That's more. I think there's more of a fucking controversy than if Tony's alive.
They don't show.
It's
Well,
a
that's the
big
biggest
theory
thing.
that
That's a
she's
big thing
alive.
with HBO shows in general. If they don't show the body is dead, is the body dead?
It's a big one.
Number 8, you mentioned him before, Vincent Pistori. I got Big Pussy. He's only in the show for 2 seasons. It feels like so much more. That last scene of his on the boat, it's iconic. He has so many iconic lines.
I got so much stories that I don't want to waste all the time here, but the stories that he has said about filming that scene, like
Mhm.
forget about actor fan, like just hearing that, like you believe it was bigger than that. It was awesome.
I always wonder what it must be like to get that script where like you're done and off the show, but it's
It's
Well, because you
Yeah,
probably
instead of
probably
hard
get the feeling like a few episodes in, and then you're like, oh damn, like it's coming.
Number 7, I got Silvio Dante. He could be higher. I mean, he's kind of like of the whole crew. He's got, to me, has the least personality, but he's funny in his own way. His over exaggerated expressions. He's not a trained actor. He's
During the
East Street Band. So.
during the
Yeah.
card game when he yells at what's his face for the
Yeah.
cheese fuck he calls him.
Cheese fuck. Number 6, she should be higher up. It's just there's too many good ones. Carmela Soprano. I mean,
Karma's great.
what an amazing job she did in this show. The Whitecaps episode, another one up there for possibly the best in the whole series.
That's my favorite. That is my favorite scene in all of movies and television.
Yeah,
The
I
fight,
mean,
the punch in the wall. My favorite scene of everything.
So much you just feel it's so real.
Amazing.
Number 5, I got Dr. Melfi. I mean, such an important part of the show. The show does not happen the same way. I think she's the perfect person to play that role too. She's so great. And it's kind of
that she wasn't in the last episode.
I never even realized that,
She was in
honestly.
the second to last episode. Last time you see it, it's it's actually very good. It's well done. She shuts the door. There's a great angle of
Yeah.
her just closing the door on Tony. It was really good. But the fact that she wasn't in the last got a lot of.
I never
lot of
realized
feedback.
that.
Yeah.
Number 4, I got Paulie Walnuts. I think my personal, you can't put him in the top 3, I think, because these 3 are better in my opinion. Just the lines. He's the most quotable guy in TV history. There's a line I was watching the other day when he says to Christopher. Christopher says, "Paulie, you ever feel like nothing good's ever gonna happen again?" And Paulie says,
And nothing
did.
Yeah.
So what? Number 3, I got Uncle Junior.
Very nice.
Another guy who I think is just hysterical. Makes the show. Never had to make him a varsity athlete.
personal favorite. People don't realize how good he was. I feel like the more they watch the show, they realize how good Junior actually was.
I agree.
Number 2, I have Christopher Moltisanti. Fun fact about him. Actually, the reason my brother's named Christopher.
Is after him?
After Christopher
That is
Moltisanti.
excellent.
Yep. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What can you say? I mean,
You want to talk about arcs.
unbelievable character, yeah.
He had highs and lows of beyond belief.
the point of when he was trying to become an actor and a writer is so great. The episodes he does with John Favreau is hysterical.
He's also such a bigger part to the series than I think anyone realizes.
Oh, yeah.
Because his arcs can be annoying at times.
Mhm.
Not really AJ level stuff, but
No.
it's a lot, but huge.
Have you ever met him?
I have not met him personally.
No,
No, I
he's-
met Silvio plenty
Yeah,
of times,
yeah.
but I've never met him.
No, he's in like if I had to pick like in my top 10 dream guests to have on the podcast, Michael Imperioli, 100%
He's
in the
very
top
smart
10.
too.
Yeah.
Very smart.
He lives not too far, honestly,
yeah,
from here. Yeah.
right.
And my number 1's Tony. I feel like there's no if I put anybody else there, I get ripped apart.
You know what's funny
It's-
about that? I should have asked you this yesterday because to tell you the truth, I just made my list on the fly because I thought we were going to talk about it and make it ourselves.
Yeah,
Ended up
okay.
having it. I was going to say, is it a 10 list with Tony or without Tony? Because that's much harder.
Right. No, you're
Much
right.
harder.
You're
It's
right.
much better.
And I kind of wish we did because there's
I'm not gonna lie to you. I put him 2 just because I felt like everybody was gonna put him 1. So I was like, I just
didn't even
don't
put
want
him
to.
on mine at all until you just said, and I said, are we putting him in? Because then you have to. But
all right, Tony, go ahead. Well, let's let our guests go.
I had Melfi at 10. I didn't put any other. Melfi is actually the only woman I have on this list.
No Carmella?
I have 2 surprises on here that you're probably gonna say, wow.
I got a few surprises too.
But Melfi's 10, critical to the show. She had some great scenes herself, storylines. She's another one that had arcs, highs and lows that beyond belief. Besides Tony, with like the rape story and everything. Yeah,
that's huge.
Yep.
Had the chance to get that guy waxed, you couldn't do it.
This one I got number 9, Johnny Sack. People don't realize how funny Johnny Sack and everything involving his wife actually was.
The mole on Johnny Sack's ass.
How mad he gets about that entire thing. People don't realize how serious that started the entire thing between them.
Yeah.
That ruined literally everything. Number 8, I have Artie Bucco. We talked about how great he is. Another one with the storylines. When he almost kills Tony in the parking lot.
Yeah, I know.
That scene right there is one of the most wild things ever, because you could see in his face like he was like not ready to do it. Another New York guy, number 7, Phil Leotardo.
Well, go ahead, continue.
Wave bye-bye, Grandpa. Probably one of the most iconic lines ever, and just gets absolutely smoked. He was annoying when I first watched the show, but the more I watch it, his lines are also, he has got great one-liners. And
he's got the best one-liners in the show. If you really look at his one-liners, are amazing.
Because you don't even like he's in such the smallest scenes, and you don't even know what he said until it's done at that point. When they're arresting Johnny Sack at the wedding, he makes fun of him for crying.
You don't even know, man. There's so much inside joke at times, so I'm laughing to myself.
This is one of he walks up to them and he goes, a grown man crying. That right there, I love that one.
Even better, Tony. There is a scene at that moment right there where they don't even show. They just show Phil's face, and when you watch that scene back, look at when they show Phil's face in the background. You're gonna laugh to yourself. It's just that says everything. It
kills me. 6, I got Bobby Bacala. One of my favorite scenes with him, the fight scene between him and Tony in the cabin. That is the funniest thing ever. Because it's just 2 wide loads going at it, and they're just beating the crap out of each other.
That's a guy that I would love to have in my top 10.
When he gets in the car and tries to drive off and just crashes into the tree, it's like one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
He's also probably the most redeemable character in the entire.
He does. He has
the only one.
He has my favorite line in the whole show. They're at the diner talking about Nostradamus, and he goes, "You ever realize what does he say? There's your hunchback of Notre Dame, but also your quarterback and your running back."
No, my favorite is when he meets Tony. I forget what it was, and Tony says something about him being fat, and he goes, "Why don't you look in the mirror sometime?"
Yeah, I know. And Tony drives off.
Insensitive prick. Into the top 5, I got Silvio 5 again. Just he's another one of those iconic. You can't have these guys now in the top 5. 4, I got Paulie. One of my favorite ones with him when he talks about when your shoelaces get in the piss, and he's telling them about it when they're about to have dinner.
Especially even the Pine Barrens. I mean, that's another one.
I mean, that's him and Chrissy. That's one of the most iconic episodes in TV history. Yeah. Not even just The Sopranos, just TV in general. Yep. My top 3, I got Chrissy 3. Some of the scenes with him, the killing Adriana's dog, the intervention scene. If you want to count all of them as a whole. Paulie goes up to me and goes, "You're weak." That's starting like that is just the funniest thing ever. It turns into a fist fight. Everything about Chrissy, though, one of the best characters in TV show history. I put Tony 2 because I didn't want to put him 1. I put Junior 1.
Oh, I like that.
Junior really, the older he gets in the show, the funnier he gets because he's just clueless. Like when he's watching Curb Your Enthusiasm and he sees Larry David on TV, he's like, "Is that me?" That to me, especially because I watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, that's like the funniest thing ever.
2 HBO shows, too, so you can tell a little inside.
And him singing that in the one episode, I forget whose wake it was. They're singing in the restaurant at the end, and he sings that beautiful, beautiful song. Just that right there too. He is one of the best characters ever. I had to put him 1.
Yes, his ending. You talk about his downfall. That was his.
That was the one where Tony,
right?
Do you know who I am? That scene right there is heartbreaking because Tony, he hated him, but it was right there. He was like, "Damn, he actually has no idea."
Yeah, he's gone. All right, so I have a top 9 because I'm putting Tony 1 no matter what.
Okay,
that's fair.
I'm putting Tony number 1, so we'll just skip over that. Top 10, he didn't make any of your list so far. Furio,
yes,
he was on the borderline for me, but I wasn't sure.
He didn't last long enough, but when he was there. It was big. You talk about the ticking time bomb. You didn't know.
When he almost kills Tony, he almost pushed him in the helicopter.
Yeah, and the whole thing with him and Carmella, it was unexpected.
Yeah.
And
it was big taboo because no matter how much that Tony did Carmella dirty, you still didn't want her doing him.
Yes,
dirty.
yeah,
It
you're
was
right.
Weird,
You're right.
weird
Yeah.
feeling to have.
Yeah.
Sorry, females. I don't mean that in a bad.
It was
way,
just the way
but-
the show was written. Like the way they did things.
Yes. I have 8. I have Junior, which after hearing you guys, I think he should be a little higher. But I have Junior 8. 7, I have Ralph Cifaretto because
He almost made my list too. I loved Ralph Cifaretto.
So I put him there because I hated him so much.
Yeah.
I hated him so much.
Well, that's why I thought about putting Livia because she is probably the worst character in the entire TV show.
But so important.
But that's the thing. Like we hate her so much that she should probably be on a list like this. So it's tough.
You realize if she lived, the show would have been different.
Yeah.
If she lived, the entire show and the trajectory of the storylines.
Well,
be totally different.
season 3, they did her completely CGI, and you could it looks awful.
Oh my
Like
God.
there's some scenes I didn't realize until after I go back and watch, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's so bad.
You could tell the time, the era.
Yeah.
That's for sure. After Ralph, I had Puss, my man Vinny. Again, should be higher because he's very memorable, but only lasted 2 seasons. And I think it's fair to say that season 2 is probably the best season. of
Yeah,
The
I would
Sopranos.
agree.
Because so much happened. Richard
Yeah.
Priel, Big Pussy getting whacked.
Yep.
There's a lot going on. After Puss, I had Junior. Oh, wait, I put Junior twice. Oh, shit.
Oh,
so
no.
it's top 8. So I had
Party foul.
So what the hell? So you know what it is? I must have had someone 8 and then switch. Let's just say Junior's after Pussy. It makes more sense in my eyes. We'll go back to whoever number 9 was. Carm after Junior. I have Silvio after Carm. Silvio was my favorite character growing up. Don't know why. I think because as a young kid, like he just looked like what a gangster would look like.
Yeah,
with
it's
that
funny.
Face, you know what I'm saying? The hair and all that shit. After Silvio, he's a big one for me. Phil Leotardo.
Really?
Phil
I'm telling you,
is a amazing character.
You have to when you go home, type in like Phil Leotardo, like
Best
funny,
quotes,
like
you'll
best
die.
thing.
I gotta look into it. Yeah, I
piss
have
your pants.
Phil is the man. And not only that, Phil gave you, so like there's 2 people that look at Sopranos. It's like the mothers of the world that watch, like, oh, there's so much family.
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
cool. And then you'll have like the mob buffs that are like, I love mob. Like Phil brought the mob to it. Like
Yeah.
Phil brought like, this is a mafia show. I'm giving you what it is. And my number 2/1 would be Paulie Walnuts. Paulie's he's Paulie, man. He's that guy.
Honorable mention that I want to throw out there because he was only in a few episodes. Tony Blundetto, Steve Buscemi.
Oh, yeah.
In the brief
Great stuff.
time he was in the show was fantastic.
I agree with you on that. There was a lot of heat about Tony Blundetto. They think that his whole introduction, like season 5 and everything, like it felt like it was so like forced.
I feel like they didn't talk
I
about
can
him.
see that.
Like they didn't
No.
talk about him enough
It
beforehand.
didn't matter that much.
That's
right?
the one thing I agree with.
Exactly.
You didn't have Christopher on your list.
I didn't because I wasn't huge on Christopher. Actually,
Really?
tell you the truth,
Okay.
Christopher was probably the first.
Oh,
Junior
gotcha.
one.
Okay.
Now
Yeah,
I'm
I got
thinking
you.
about it. 'Cause
Okay.
I think when you were saying, I was like, should I switch Junior and Christopher? And then I was like, nah. But so I would
Yeah.
say Christopher was the one that I skipped over.
All right.
But he didn't. You know what it is? Like Chris, he just didn't do it for me.
Mhm.
He did. He was like the quotes he had. It was usually like having to do with someone else.
Mhm.
His downfall was just like you don't want to watch it. It was
Yeah.
pathetic,
It was
you
kind
know?
of expected
It's
too.
weak.
Yeah.
It's weak.
No, I agree with that.
Another character that I was close to putting on, he gave me. He's a very entertaining character, Vito. He's
Big deal.
Yeah,
Another
it's a big deal.
man. Another
Yeah.
big
That's
deal.
another big storyline.
Big storyline. The big question is this was the storyline needed? You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of people say is like that right guy, because you don't want to put a big storyline on that on like a dominant
Yeah.
character. But could have you done something that would have sparked that war more than it was? And you talk about Phil. That's the beauty of Phil. First of all, they talk about him being a closet homosexual.
Yeah.
Why he hated so much. It was
Yeah.
a huge theory if you really
Mhm.
think about it. There's enough hints behind it. And then they talk about just like how much that really sparked it. Like for the mob buffs of the world, would you rather have been something else? Like, Tony Blundetto killing
Right.
Phil's brother? That could have been the start of it. A whole season to end to the final, end of the series was with that, which I thought was,
right.
Interesting.
And to kind of tackle it in a way where it's like, I can't think of a show that really had that prominent of a storyline at that point yet.
at that point of the
For-
the
Definitely
series,
not.
yeah.
Right. And you kind of can tell Tony doesn't really want to do it.
Yeah.
He's like, why the fuck? He's like, he's almost saying like, why the fuck did you let this go public? Like,
Yeah.
how you be that stupid?
Yeah, no one
He
cares.
doesn't want to. Yeah, he doesn't
Yeah.
want to get rid of him. Everybody else is so against it that
Yeah.
he's like,
And he says a great thing when in the back he goes, "Who's gonna take care of his kids?"
Right,
You,
right.
you." And then
Yeah.
kind of like shut everyone up, which is
yeah,
But it's the fact that you look at that and how that ended to the end of the series, from a mob standpoint, it was very interesting because you wonder what else they could have done.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's the best of all time. It was great. Every great show has its ups and downs and questionable things, but what do we?
People are still talking about it to this day. That's
That's what
the
makes it
thing.
so great.
exactly.
all right. I think that wraps up our Week 0 preview. Got games on Saturday. Mike,
This was fun.
appreciate you being here,
Fun.
Mike.
I will be back.
I
Thank
hope
you
so.
for
I hope
coming on.
so.
Back. This was fun.
I can't wait to see what's next for you.
Yes, me too.
Coming
Yeah.
soon. And until next time, guys.
Red shirts all day.
All right, I guess.
That was fun, boys.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed myself.
I know.
It was good shit.
Yeah, I was standing. Because the way I set the camera, you can't really come in. So I was just standing out there.